Assalamu alaikum and good greetings. So today we'll be watching a video by Cogito titled What is Hinduism? So this is based on some request which I haven't fulfilled. So without further ado, let's watch.
Hinduism, the religion of over 1 billion people, is the world's oldest religion and probably the most confusing one to non-Hindus. Some say it isn't even a religion, more a way of life. Hindus themselves call it the
Okay, what is the difference between religion and way of life? Because Islam claims to be a deen, way of life. It's not just religion in the sense of the word, where many people relate it to, personal relationship with God or rituals, but it's a complete way of life. Islam claim to be a complete way of life. I'm not sure, different people whether they have different definition with religion and way of life. Just curious.
Sanatana Dharma, the eternal tradition. So, what is Hinduism? Does YOLO apply to them? And who is this elephant guy? Well, let's find out. Hinduism is the world's oldest active religion. It's the result of the merging of the ancient.
So by what definition is Hinduism the world oldest active religion? Okay, so that's the word active there. So I assume, meaning what people recognize as a religion that is more ancient than Hinduism is already phased out, or no longer exist or no longer being practiced. But of course, if you know what Islam claim, Islam started not with Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It started with Adam, meaning it's the way of life that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give from the first human being until the end of time. Yeah.
Indus Valley civilization and the nomads that came into India around 1500 BC. Some scholars say it could even go back many more thousands of years.
But they are aliens. Who claim that?
But we won't delve too deep into dates, because dates in Hinduism are very controversial. But one thing is certain: Hinduism is old, like at least 36 Betty Whites. Hinduism has been around for so long that it and the concept of India itself are inseparable. Hindu and India even come from the same word. Sanskrit was the ancient language of the Hindus, and the Sanskrit name for the Indus River is Sindhu. The ancient Persians who sat across the Indus tended to switch their S's to H's, so Sindhu became Hindu. So the people living across the river became Hindus. The Persians told the Greeks, who dropped that very not Greek-like H, stuck in a very Greek-like E to the end, and boom, India. Hinduism has a long.
So how many words that, originally people of that origin said in a certain way, and suddenly someone else said differently, and that word becomes, popular. I think when I went to Japan, Japanese people do not call it Japan, right? Meaning originally. Now, because they have, international people coming in, so I think they refer it with those people as Japan as well. It's Nihon, right? Is it? I forgot. Is it that the language or the country or both, right? Nihon. I think people call it Nippon from outside. I'm not sure how it become Japan though. So I think there are those that, for example, in Egypt we have Cairo, but it is Kahira, right? Kahira. So things like that. I think many places, the name of places is treated as such when the outside say it differently, but the outside is the one that shaped the world, so it is called that universally.
History. But today we'll be focusing on just the core beliefs of Hindus, because I don't have the willpower to animate a 3-hour-long video. Hindus are a diverse group. Some are strict, dedicating their lives to prayer, while others don't believe in any gods but still follow Hindu philosophy.
So is that a thing? Meaning, is that acceptable by Hindu principle or something? To follow its teaching without accepting the faith? I don't know.
To make things easier to understand, let's break Hinduism down into 7 core beliefs. So, Here's my rap about the 7 Hindu beliefs.
You promised you weren't gonna do the rap. Come on, you're better than this, man.
Fine. Here's the regular version then. 1. Belief in
That have my hope up, and unfortunately.
one universal soul. Hindus believe in a universal soul known as Brahman, a formless, genderless source of all reality. Brahman is the universe and the material that makes up the universe. It's a trippy concept, but think of Brahman as an ocean and everything else as drops propelling out of that ocean. Separate for a time, but still the same thing, if that makes sense. 2. Belief in an immortal individual soul. In Hinduism, souls are known as Atman. Actions of the soul while in a body have effects on that soul's next life. When you die, your soul moves to another new body. This is called transmigration. The kind of body the soul inhabits next is determined by karma. 3. Belief in karma. Karma is action, usually good or bad actions that affect society. For Hindus, karmic actions in the past affect us today, and our actions today affect our soul's future. 4. Belief in moksha. The goal in Hindu life is to somehow get back to Brahman. If a Hindu can do this, they will be freed from the cycle of life and death.
So Brahman is the first one mentioned, right? The source of everything.
This is called moksha. You can achieve moksha by realizing.
So there's some parallel with Jainism, right? Or Jainism have some essence of Hinduism, I guess, because I think the wording, some of the concept is the same, if I remember correctly.
Realizing your oneness with Brahman. How you realize this is up to you. For this reason, Hindus pray, lead me from the unreal to the real. 5. Belief in the Vedas. The Vedas are Hindu sacred books of knowledge. There are 4 Vedas. Hindus believe that all 4 were divinely revealed to ancient Hindu sages. We'll take a closer look at the Vedas in a while. 6.
So they do believe of its having a divine origin then. Not written by, but we will go into that. Okay.
6. Belief in cyclical time. For Hindus, there are no beginnings or endings. Time is a series of cycles, each cycle containing 4 ages or yugas. There's the Krita, the Treta, the Dwapara, and the Kali. Added together, the 4 yugas total about 4.32 million years. At the end of each cycle, declining human morality leads to the total destruction of reality. Hindus believe that we are in the 4th and final yug, Kali. 7. Belief in Dharma. Dharma is a difficult word to translate to English. Proper behavior is the best that I could come up with. Dharma maintains balance in the universe. As long as everything in the universe, like animals, plants, and humans, follow their Dharma, then everything will be fine. If they break from the Dharma, though, things will be super not fine. Each being has its own Dharma. A lion's Dharma is to kill and eat antelope. A king's Dharma is to rule well. A subscriber's Dharma is to smash the like button and ring the notification bell. For humans,
Yeah, so as the video said, do the same with this channel as well.
their specific Dharma is usually based on their age and their caste. An old priest will have a very different Dharma than a young merchant, for example. So those are the 7
So the caste is from Hinduism or something existing in India outside of Hinduism but is somehow related.
core beliefs of Hinduism. With them, you can understand the Hindu mindset. Unlike Christianity or Islam, Hinduism is a non-profit organization. There is no Jesus or Muhammad for Hindus. There is no Bible, Quran, or Torah. Instead, they have a bunch, and I mean a bunch, of different sacred texts. The 4 Vedas form the basis of the Hindu faith. So let's take a look at them. 1. The Rig Veda. The Rig Veda is a collection of songs that praise and discuss ideas like truth, reality, and the universe, along with discussions on war, weddings, and rituals. 2. The Yajur Veda. The Yajur Veda covers stuff such as sacrificial rites and rituals. 3. The Sama Veda. Sama literally means sweet song that destroys sorrow. It is mostly songs dedicated to praising gods. It's different than the rest of the Vedas because it's set to music. 4. The ARTHA Veda.
So how is it, meaning what is the notes of the music? Is it part and parcel of that Veda? Because if it's directly linked to music, then is it just wording or musical notes as well?
The ARTHA Veda is my favorite one. Do you want to curse your enemies? Or charm that special someone? Maybe learn to invoke rain? Or discover herbal medicine along with tips on warfare? Like how to make poison arrows? Well, this Veda has you covered, along with a bunch of other charms and curses. It even has a curse against cursers. Avoid us, O curse, as the burning fire avoids a lake. Strike him here that curses us, as the lightning of heaven the tree. A link to the ARTHA Veda.
So what's that? It's how to perform things, is it?
Is in the description, just in case you need a spell to get a wife or another to banish pigeons from your presence. It's great. After the Vedas come the Upanishads, which are like a sequel that makes the original make much more sense. They were probably written down between 800 BC and 500 BC, during a time when some Hindus started to question the Vedas. Their ideas became the Upanishads. The Upanishads are books on philosophy, like we would expect from Plato or Aristotle. They're all about questioning, doubt, debate, and finding the answers to life's difficult questions. A theme in the Upanishads is that people are not their minds, or bodies, or egos, but their Atman. Your soul is you. Everything else is unreal and temporary. After the holy texts like the Vedas and the Upanishads are other less divine but still important texts. These include stuff like the Puranas, the Bhagavad Gita, and the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. The Puranas.
So I have heard.
Puranas, the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, Bhagavad Gita. I've heard of that. So when you say less divine, is it like writing of people without actual, divine origin, but also shape the belief or the practice?
And the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. The Puranas are like encyclopedias of Hindu beliefs. There are 18 well-known Puranas. The Puranas cover things from yoga, to army organization, to taxation, to the caste system, to hell, gods.
So caste system is part of it, but it doesn't come from the four Vedas. The four main Vedas, but it's come from people. Is there anyone arguing that that is actually humans' injection into the belief, meaning that it's not from the divine? Because if I understand correctly, the four main Vedas is somehow divine origin, but those later ones that just mentioned is from human, right? So if caste or casta is from the later one, how does it?
And everything in between. The Bhagavad Gita, Gita for short, is one of Hinduism's most important texts. The Gita takes place on a battlefield where Arjuna, a great warrior, refuses to fight. Lord Krishna steps in to urge Arjuna to fight, and their discussion covers things such as dharma and how to live your best life. Arjuna eventually fought after Lord Krishna taught him the truth about dharma. As a member of the warrior caste, Arjuna's dharma was to fight against evil. The lesson of the Gita is that everyone faces difficult choices, but they must act on them according to their dharma, no matter how unpleasant. Along with all these philosophical...
So it's like historical event and dialogue, but it does explain, the original text, I guess.
Texts. Hinduism has two action-packed epics, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. The Ramayana, the earlier of the two texts, tells the story of Prince Rama. In the epic, you find out about his 14-year-long exile, the abduction of his wife Sita, his battle with the evil demon Ravana, and his awesome monkey sidekick Hanuman. The second epic, the Mahabharata, is the longest poem in the world. 5 times the length of the Bible and 8 times the length of the Iliad and Odyssey combined. It rivals any soap opera you've ever seen when it comes to drama. Murder, betrayal, love, love murder, and giant battles. The Mahabharata has it all. The theme running through the Ramayana
If it's that long, is it because the story is long or it's so detailed?
and the Mahabharata is that Dharma must be followed for society to function. In Hinduism, there are 4 goals a
What is,
person.
okay, so all of this becomes the sources that people who belongs to Hindu community actually live by. But there's no explanation, at least in this video, about the sources, right? Meaning who come up with all those books and why are they being considered as authoritative about Hinduism?
Person should aim for to have a good life. The first of these is Dharma, followed by Artha, the pursuit of prosperity and good reputation, Kama, pleasure both in body and in mind, and Moksha, the release from the cycles of rebirth. Hindus should practice Artha and Kama with Dharma in order to achieve Moksha. There are also 6 temptations Hindus should try and avoid. Kama, lust and materialism. This Kama is different from the good Kama mentioned above, I know. Next is Kruda, which is anger, Lobha, which is greed, Moha, which is unrealistic attachment to things, people and power, Mada, which is pride, and Matsarya, which is jealousy. By following their Dharma and avoiding these 6 temptations, a Hindu can break the cycle of rebirth and have their soul merge back into Brahman.
So meaning that as long as the cycle continues, we are separated from Brahman.
But even though everything comes from Brahman, who is the one real thing in Hinduism, Hindus do, after all, have thousands of gods. So let's take a look at them.
Okay, that's interesting when it is put that way, because its origin is from one being, but for some reason there are so many gods. And as God in Hinduism, these many gods, from the Brahman as well, or it is above that?
First, there's Brahma, the creator. He created everything in the universe, but he is not the universe itself, because that's Brahman.
Okay, so Brahman is the universe where everything comes from it. But there are, for example, God that is outside of the universe of God. Okay.
They aren't the same thing. That last letter changes a lot, apparently. He has 4 heads. The heads face each of the 4 directions to represent the 4 Vedas, which he created, and the 4 yugs. He also holds a book, which represents knowledge. Oh, and he rides a giant swan, because he's just fancy. His consort is Saraswati, the goddess of learning. Vishnu, the preserver, is the second member of the Hindu Trinity. He preserves the world created by Brahma.
Did he use the word Trinity in what sense then? Because in Christianity, they believe in one God but 3 persons, right? So that is the Trinity concept. Here, is it 3 God that is the most powerful, or somehow the man, because there's a lot of God, right?
Until it is eventually destroyed by Shiva. He holds a discus, which he uses to cut down anyone that tries to mess with his Dharma, along with a conch, which symbolizes victory and the 5 elements. Vishnu has many, many avatars, such as Krishna or Rama, who he uses to defend Dharma on earth. Oh, and he rides a giant eagle named Garuda. Vishnu has 2 consorts, the goddess Lakshmi.
Now, Garuda is a real bird, or because I think Indonesia have that Garuda, is it mascot or something? They have, right? If I'm not mistaken. So is it, because I always thought that is referring to a species of bird.
And Bhudevi. Bhudevi is the earth goddess, and Lakshmi is the goddess of good fortune and wealth. Next is Shiva the Destroyer, the 3rd member of the Hindu Trinity. It's his job to destroy the universe in order to prepare for its renewal at the end of each cycle of time. The most identifiable of his features is his 3rd eye, which he almost always keeps closed. If he does open it and you're in front of him, then you will have your face melted off. When not unmaking existence, Shiva enjoys long walks with his bull named Nandi. At the end of the Kali
Now, the description of and the story of the gods, I think you can see it from 2 points. This is talking from the outside, of course, right? One is either man or human that is creating these stories. Hence, the stories are like human lives, right? Just that they have powers, etc. Right? So they have, they are riding a bird. They are riding a horse or bull just now. So that's one. Or the other one is like the concept is like there's an alien superpower race outside, right? Outside of this universe. So it's something like, I think, I assume the Greek gods, etc. Right? So meaning that there's a species of gods, quote unquote, elsewhere outside of what we are living in. So it's like that. It's more of a being, this alien being that is having much more power than us. So that the concept, and if human want to come with a concept, that tend to be one of it, right?
Yuga, the fourth age of the world, Shiva will perform a dance that destroys the universe. Which is odd because people have told me that my dance moves make them wish the world would end. So me and Shiva have quite a lot in common. Parvati and Sati are Shiva's consorts. Shiva also has two sons.
So there's consorts as well within this world of God.
Ganesha and Murugan. Ganesha is worshipped as the remover of obstacles, and Murugan is the god of war. Ganesha holds a
So Murugan is, I think, the one that is close by here near my house. Because in Batu Cave we have one of those biggest idol that I have ever seen. Stand tall at how many you can Google how tall it is. If I'm not mistaken, that is Murugan.
A very special place in the heart of Hindus, due to him being the remover of obstacles. The elephant head is the most obvious clue to identifying him. He was actually born with a human head, but after Shiva cut that one off, he kind of had to make do with an elephant one.
So I've heard of that story before, which is like, it is interesting, meaning having a concept of God where the whole story is fairy tale like.
If you're Christian or Muslim, you're aware that your religion has a bunch of different denominations, like Catholics or Protestants, Sunni and Shia. Hinduism has these too. Hindus developed 4 major denominations, some of which have their own subdivisions. The Vaishnavas primarily worship Vishnu, and Shaivas primarily worship Shiva and his sons. Smartas follow sacred texts like the Puranas, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, rather than the Vedas. They worship 5 gods and goddesses, Ganesha, Durga, Surya, Shiva, and a preferred avatar of Vishnu. Finally, Shaktas worship the goddess Devi. Shaktas see Devi as the ultimate and eternal reality.
So this is like, having an alien species of supreme being that is, fairy tale like superpower, and somehow different group of people that believe in that world of gods, think that I want to worship that one, right? So that's interesting. Yeah, to me it is interesting. It's weird that people will go in that, meaning people do choose whatever they choose in life, right? So people choose bizarre thing, but if someone want to search for the truth, would they end up, of course I'm what I'm saying here, assuming everything that's presented here is totally accurate, right? Would they believe that this is the truth, that is truly that's those gods there, and it's, they choose to worship which one, and what is the truth there, meaning that the truth is that world of gods exist, and what did the Veda ask to worship any of those actually?
Like a feminine Brahman. Even though there are all these variations and more, the core beliefs of Hindus remain mostly the same. Hindus believe that Dharma keeps the balance in the universe. If the scales between good and evil start tipping towards evil, then something needs to intervene to fix the universe's Dharma. This divine intervention is known as an avatar. The literal meaning of the word avatar is descent. Avatars are gods that descend to Earth to intervene whenever help is needed to restore Dharma.
Wait, avatar here is a word origin, the actual word origin from Hindu teachings, or an English word to refer to something within that teaching? Because I always thought that avatar is an English word, but because in this video every words from the original teaching, Brahman, etc., is using in that form, right? So avatar, when avatar is being used, I assume it's also originally that specific word. Avatar is in Hindu scripture.
For example, when the earth was dragged underneath the ocean, Vishnu descended to earth as the avatar Varaha, a boar, and dragged the earth back out. In other cases, Vishnu was born on earth as a human avatar like Rama or Krishna, where he spent his avatar's life fixing Dharma. So, the caste...
Is there any parallel there with how some Christians view Jesus, like the human form of Jesus, the human shell, is basically an avatar? If you relate to this, would Christian agree to that, or would that be blasphemous to say something like that? And why? How is it fundamentally different?
Caste system. If you only know one thing about Hinduism, this is probably it. People see it as an oppressive system that locks people in place based on their birth. And for a huge part of history, that's what it's been, unfortunately. Let's do a quick explanation of what the caste system is. In Hinduism, there are 4 castes or classes that you can be born into. There's the Brahmin, the priest, the Kshatriyas, the warriors, the Vaishyas, the traders, and the Shudras, the manual laborers. The main basis for the caste...
Now, assuming that this translation is accurate to what it's originally meant to mean, then it does seem like some people actually create this to stay in that top tier bracket, right? Because it's like when you put up top and bottom, and then it's description of a job. Basically, it's like to keep the laborers there as laborers, the traders there as traders, and the warriors there as warriors. That's how it seems, just based on this translation.
Caste system can be found in the Bhagavad Gita and the Rig Veda. Krishna says in the Gita, "I have created a 4-fold system in order to distinguish among one's qualities and functions." The Rig Veda also refers to the 4 castes. It says humans were created from parts of the god Purusha, the Brahmin from his face, the Kshatriya from his arms, the Vaishya his thighs, and the Shudra his feet. This system was supposed to assign people functions based on their abilities, not their birth. If someone had the qualities of a Brahmin or a Vaishya, they could fill those roles. The Gita...
So originally it's not based on who your parents is, but wait, what's happening to my camera? I'm not sure whether this is already towards the end of the life of this camera. Anyway, so I have to finish this off. So is it true then that the concept of the caste system, people are evaluated based on their ability, and then they are assigned as such, and not like you are born into that caste?
VEDA didn't restrict movement among castes, and the caste system functioned as intended for a while, until a document known as the Laws of Manu came about around the 5th century BC, popularly referred to as the Manu Smriti. They created hard rules for Hindu life. 2 rules presented in it contributed to the way the caste system turned out. Manu states that the Brahmin were the lords of all castes, and he forbid moving among the castes. The caste you were born into was now the caste you're stuck in. If you give humans a hierarchy, they'll exploit it, and things will go sour pretty quickly. As time passed, Hindus began thinking in terms of upper and lower castes. Soon, cleaning toilets, tanning leather, and dealing with meat products were thought to be impure. The people doing those jobs became untouchables, the lowest of the low, a people without caste. And the rest is history.
So, okay, so from those who really believe in the Vedas, etc., is that an innovation that is not actually accepted by the original teaching, or it is something brought in but is valid for Hinduism for some reason, like it's a prophet that comes with an updated teaching or something? Any Hindu watching this, please let me know.
The modern world has brought many changes though. Now Hindus mix freely while working together in the same businesses, attending the same schools, and generally just living together. But when it comes to marriage, many Hindus still stick to their own caste. But this too is changing, and on Hindu dating websites you can actually see people list a non-preference for caste. It'll say caste no bar. So, though
That is interesting, meaning that for anyone mentioning something like that, means that it is still, generally speaking, people, the status quo is based on caste, and whoever that is willing to go beyond that do mention it to highlight that they are not, following the status quo.
those are the basics of Hinduism. It isn't even close to covering everything. One video simply can't do it. Hinduism is too diverse, too deep, and means too many different things to different people. But learning even the basics of this fascinating and ancient religion gives us an insight into the worldview of over 1 billion people. And I hope you enjoyed it. You can find all the sources used in the description below. If you would like to follow your...
Alright, so that's it, and unfortunately this is... I'm not sure what's going on. Seems fine. So is it... I'll have to look at what is going on. Perhaps something is on the lens, some moist or something. But this was what happened to my last video cam, that I have to buy this new one 2 years ago. Or is the life expectancy of this one, this thing is 2 years. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about that anymore. So thank you. Anything you want to add or anything you want to clarify based on whatever questions that I have stated, please feel free to do so. Thank you for watching. See you next time.